Welcome, baseball fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for today's MLB Postseason Report with myself, your host, Greg Mengel, and our baseball expert, Paul Tipton. We'll be joined a little later by Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader, sports editor Michelle Garmon, if she's still awake. We don't know for sure. She said she'd try to get here. We hope she does. But, Paul, it was a National League day, and what a day it was.
It was very exciting. That was about the first game at Dodger Stadium was about the most tense and pressure-filled and interesting game that you could wish for.
Crazy. You had the no runs through 6 innings. Both runs scored in the 7th, including a bases-loaded walk that they finally get out of, only to go 11 innings and have the game finish like it did.
But, of course, all the drama was in the 7th inning. And I hesitate to say this, but we needed the ABS system to work. The home plate umpire, I made a note of who that was a long time ago, and now I forgot. But the home plate umpire had an excellent game. One of the best games behind the plate that you could have. But on a 3-2 pitch in the 7th inning, the Dodgers put on a leadoff runner when the ball was clearly in the strike zone. And that turned out to be the run through Philly's miscues later on. Not errors, but they saved that for the ending, obviously.
Yeah. One of the strangest ways a game can end. Bases loaded, 2 outs, ball gets hit back to the pitcher, he bobbles, and decides to go home with it.
Why in the world would he throw that ball to home? He clearly had Pages out at first base.
He wasn't a third of the way down the line when he had the ball in his hand.
You know that every infielder and the catcher for the Phillies were yelling 1-1-1 for him to throw it to first base.
Real Muto was definitely pointing.
Oh, I've never seen anybody. To spaz throwing to the wrong base is one thing, but then to flip the ball 40, it was just... if the Yankee fans felt like last night they were suffering, I can only imagine what Philly fans are going through tonight. That was, besides that game 2 where they almost had it and then had it taken away from them, to give the Dodgers that. And, of course, they walked in the tying run in the 7th inning, too.
Exactly. And then got out of it. Looked like, it looked like it was going to be a really bad situation for the Phillies. They did walk Betts to load the bases. Then got out of it to get to extra innings and had their chances, man. They just had their chances.
They definitely had some chances, and they were walked a few times too. But both of those teams struck out so many times, you start to wonder if the pitching is that good or not. I was listening to the Phillies announcers for a while, and they kept talking about the conditions, the shadows. Even when the home plate to pitcher's mound was covered in shadow, you had background, and they kept giving it excuses. But of course, then the next inning, the Dodgers had 2 hits. So
I don't want to divert too much here from the topic, but can you explain to me why the game in Chicago was played at 8 and the game in Los Angeles was played at 4?
I can't begin to tell you. If you're going to have if you're going to have the earlier game, then have the game in Los Angeles earlier and not have the Cubs game. So I can't imagine why you would start a game in Chicago after the game in Los Angeles. I guess they just wanted to have the late night Midwest people happy. But then again,
we're all asleep.
That's exactly right. I don't know. It's well, the Brewers
don't understand it at all. All right, back to baseball because that's irrelevant in the long run.
The Brewers helped with that situation because they fell asleep early and looked like they were not going to score, and they didn't score. So it allowed except for exuberant Cubs fans who wanted to revel in this comeback, to go to bed early. Everybody could have gone to bed after that first inning, really.
It seemed like it, although the Cubs did do that another game and then couldn't yesterday and then couldn't score the rest of the game, and you never know. But
I thought for a while, but then the Brewers put in a guy named Gasser, and that didn't seem to help in at all for the Brewers.
Too late by that point.
They were the Brewers tonight vindicated your take on the Brewers from a month ago, that the Brewers were going to get here and underperform. So
they were going to get there, and they were going to brewer all over the place, like they did.
They definitely brewer tonight, yes.
And I think they're going to brewer on Saturday. I think the Cubs are going to beat them.
Well, the Cubs have a more definite plan of attack.
Right.
I was listening to the Brewers announcers tonight, and they said that Imanaga, they thought, would probably start for the Cubs, and they had no idea. They were sure that Mizorowski was going to be used,
right?
But they didn't know if they would dare start him or hold him back or what to do.
You think if you're the Brewers and you got Peralta against Boyd, you're in really good shape. 5 Cubs pitchers, some of them have really struggled throughout the year, and they couldn't produce anything. It was so Brewer.
The look on Peralta's face when Happ's ball went over the was just priceless. Like that cannot be happening. I'm the Brewer ace, and I'm supposed to be nailing this down.
Yeah. And you think if you get shut out, it's against an ace who threw 7 strong innings, but it was really just a bunch of relievers, and they couldn't get past him. And now we've got a game 5, and everyone's been saying this about the Brewers, and they've been out to prove us wrong, and here we are again. You wonder if Saturday that'll be on their minds.
How can every year resemble the last one? It's insane. Well, the drama is going to be great for tomorrow, Game 5, and Saturday, a Game 5. So right. That'll be excellent. You won't have to worry about who starts which game when and at what time. They won't be competing with each other or on the same day. Sorry, I'm back on the topic of scheduling these games. And
yeah. Yes. It's Skubal against Kirby in Game 5 in Seattle on Friday. You would think that, as we talked about yesterday, the advantage pitching-wise would go to Skubal, although I think most people think the Mariners are favored in this game.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I bet Skubal will be pretty gassed by the time he leaves, because they're going to leave him out there for a long time. You can't imagine the Mariners scoring too many runs off them. But I can also imagine the Tigers not scoring many runs against Kirby.
And both teams are going to throw out everybody that they can. This is one of those games that you don't really. There's no tomorrow.
That is correct, and this has to be so enjoyable for the Blue Jays and now the Dodgers to watch these Game 5s with either team that wins will be a vast underdog against Toronto or Los Angeles. And they're using up all their pitchers. They can't be starting with anybody that they'd like to start off in Game 1 of the LCS. It shapes up to be a great LDS. It's been a very nice, interesting, sort of unpredictable LDS. But sadly, it looks like the LCS is going to be a lot less dramatic, unless somebody comes up with a big surprise.
I think Seattle and Toronto would be very good.
Do you?
I do.
I think
those are 2 similar teams.
We'll see if Seattle gets by Detroit tomorrow, but it's possible. But I can also see the Mariners not winning that game.
If it's Detroit and Toronto, it'll feel like the 1989 pennant race or division race. I don't think they've ever played each other in the playoffs before.
No.
And I think the Blue Jays would handily win that one.
What would it feel like with the Cubs or the Brewers against the Dodgers?
Dodgers and Brewers have played each other the last few years.
The Cubs have certainly overperformed on this podcast. Everybody, a lot of people were picking them not to win and not to win and not to win. So
when they went down 2-0, I said they were done.
Yes, it's amazing what's happened. They were just so outperformed in those first two games. So,
and really, that's what makes baseball unique. It's really a day-to-day game.
It really is, and it depends on the pitchers. But I bet there's going to be a lot of Cubs fans who try to get to Milwaukee on Saturday and try to turn that into Wrigley Field North, as it sometimes does.
It's a short walk.
Yeah.
Chicago to Milwaukee.
Yes.
We now, as we were about to finish, after we were about to close out the podcast, we welcome Michelle with her thoughts. Michelle, 2 Game 5s.
What a treat for baseball fans. At least they get some Game 5s, right? Should be good ones. I think Seattle and Detroit's going to be a great game on Friday. I picked the Mariners because I want the Mariners to win, and I still want them to win, and I still think they will. But like you were saying the other night, Paul, I think it's going to be a low scoring game. It's so funny because we were talking about how mistakes, errors, base running errors, or just fielding error can turn the tide of a game, and that happened tonight. And my heart goes out to that young pitcher in Philadelphia, because he's going to relive that moment for a very long time. And we were talking on our high school preview. We were just talking. I made the comment about I thought that one of the worst fan bases, as far as the way they usually treat opposing players, is Philadelphia. And I hope those fans aren't as nasty to their own as they would be to somebody else.
Anybody who places blame on that pitcher is kind of an idiot, because they had every opportunity to win that game.
Yes, that game I thought was great. Great pitching duel early. The starters went into the 7th inning, so fantastic work. But the Dodgers, when you get opportunities, great teams take advantage of them. They drew a bases-loaded walk to tie the game, and then they win the game on an error, and they were able to win the game on the error because they were able to get the bases loaded, even with 2 outs, and then they got lucky. I mean, Philadelphia had its opportunities. It didn't come through. I will say this. I think the Dodgers are playing very well, and I won't be shocked at all, and I kind of think they're going to make it to their 2nd straight World Series. Not sure they'll win it, but I think they'll make it there.
I'm afraid they're going to win it all again, Paul. I'm pretty sure.
Sadly. No, I think there's a secret weapon, but I'm not going to talk about that tonight. But yes, I agree. And I'm not so sure they deserve to win that game today. But I think to your point, Michelle, about Kerkering, the players were fine. They were in the dugout consoling him. They'll say the right things. And the fans next year will, if he's still on the Philly roster, will be fine. They'll forget. But it's going to be a brutal week for him on less enlightened talk shows than this one.
Yes. That replay, I mean, he's going to be sports radio, other national podcasts. He's probably going to hear some of it. And like I said, my heart does
it's all
go
part
out
of
to
it.
the young man.
I hope Nick Castellanos also hears from it for striking out all the time. The guy made the play, but they had, how many times did they have runners on base with a chance to add a run?
I think the Brewers will win against the Cubs. I do think they'll pull it out tomorrow, but I think LA, doesn't matter who wins, because like I said, I think Los Angeles is going to make it back to the World Series. I will say this, I'm going to pull for the Mariners.
We're talking about a Brewers team that chokes every single year.
I know, but I think they'll get to that. I don't think they'll get beyond the next series. I think right now, the only team that might be capable of beating Los Angeles truly is Toronto, because of the way they hit the ball. they score a lot of runs.
I think Seattle's just as good as Toronto.
I agree with you, Michelle, and against Greg. He's not convinced about Toronto. But to wrap up the Kirkering throw, the people who will be glad to see this will be anybody related to Bill Buckner.
Exactly.
He took more than his share credit of he made an error after they'd lost the lead, and it was the last play of that game. But to make an error that badly for your team to walk off the field to end their season, that throw could have been made. Even if he threw to the wrong base, at least it might have been a straight throw. That was crazy.
He was over 3 in possibilities of getting that out.
That is correct.
I think when he bobbled the ball, everything flew out from his mind, and he panicked, and he just totally forgot everything, and he's like, oh, and so he just threw home. I mean, I think he just forgot it.
Yep, he panicked.
Yep.
But like I said, they had 12 strikeouts. They had lots of runners in scoring position.
Yes, they did. They had opportunities.
They lost that game.
Correct. And they walked the tying run in the 7th inning with the bases loaded. So they decided to walk Ohtani, who was hitting 150, to face Mookie Betts, who was batting 400. It's just a bad decision. And
terrible decision.
I said so at the time before they walked Betts.
Sure. Yep.
A lot of people, including Ohtani, were swinging at balls that were not strikes tonight, but Mookie Betts in that situation is not going to do it.
No.
Good point. Thanks, guys.
Enjoy Game 5.
Thanks, Paul and Michelle. Thank you for listening. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.